Hello and welcome to the show. My guest today is Kary Derry. I discovered her on Instagram. I do spend some time there on Instagram and Threads because various aspects of my business that I do outside of the show happen on social media. So I have the opportunity to meet people I never otherwise would have met. And when I find someone I think you'll be interested in, I have them on the show. She is someone who has launched two very successful businesses and burned them both down because what she built didn't align with what she wanted for herself or her clients. And it was taking away from the life she wanted outside of her work. So now she has reemerged with a new business, a new strategy, and a beautiful brand. One of the things that attracted me to her work right away, I love a good brand. I love a good brand. And she has beautiful branding. Her messaging is lovely. And her heart and soul is in everything that she's doing. And I recognized it a mile away. So having you here today to talk about her comeback story, what she offers to clients today, and how all of it feels perfectly aligned with the life she wants in and outside of her business. Welcome to the show, Kary. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Lisa. I'm so excited to be here talking to you today.
Yes, I have been following you on social media during your reemergence here and did some diving into what led you to this point. And I just find it so interesting. Well, you're so good at what you do that you could literally just keep doing that over and over again.
Thank you so much.
Your branding is beautiful and just your storytelling and all of the things. So that's why I wanted to have you here today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. You had a couple of different breaks from social media for kind of the same reasons, and now you're back. But let's go back to the beginning. You're really good at launching, and that is in this industry not an easy thing to master. So let's go back to the beginning of where you started out in social media and what your role was.
So, oh man, let's see. I've been an entrepreneur now for over 10 years.
Mhm.
Originally I came from corporate. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I had the great six-figure paying job at the Fortune 500 company and decided that I was going to quit my job and start my own business. And then I've had a few different businesses that have kind of gone different ways along the way ever since I did that. But there's been some very pivotal moments in my entrepreneur journey. And one of the biggest ones was that 7 years ago, I had built this business that it was at the time I was serving specifically real estate agents. It was a marketing company, a marketing and branding company specifically for real estate agents. And I had grown this brand on social media and I had built this business that had got me pretty well known in my local area and very well known online. And I launched my first course and it was an amazing launch, that 5-figure launch. They were all trying
Yeah.
so hard to get to. It was that 5-figure launch, my first 5-figure launch, of course. But after that, Lisa, I found myself crying on the bathroom floor,
Mm.
crying on the
Yeah.
bathroom floor. My husband is on the other side of the door offering to slide me in comfort food under the door because I'm just in there, mascara rolling down my face, completely and utterly burned out.
Did you have any idea at the time that that's what was I mean, to an outsider looking in, and probably your husband on the other side of the door, he's like, "But this was a success.
Yeah,
So
like you did it.
problem? What's the
You did
problem?"
it.
Yeah,
What's the problem, right?
yeah. And
No.
did you recognize that in yourself at the time when you were falling apart and on the bathroom floor, or were you confused by it too? Like, I should be grateful at this moment.
When I was on the floor by that point, I knew exactly what it was.
Hmm.
I leading up to that, I wasn't as clear leading up to that. Dealing with a lot of anxiety attacks and the overwhelming pressure that I was putting on myself, this feeling of feeling inauthentic that I had that was just growing and growing and growing. I didn't realize it through all of that. But when I found myself actually sitting there on the floor crying in the midst of a success, I realized that I'd been building something that no longer felt like me anymore,
Mhm.
that no longer felt like mine anymore.
I think that that's sometimes too. I was building something before I decided to do what I'm doing now, and it was really attached to the health and care of my family and becoming a patient advocate and really wanting to think, okay, how do I help the world with all the things I've learned. And I had to take a step back after I lost my dad because I, from just I don't want to say strategical point of view, but really from the knowledge that my family might need me again for this
Yeah.
skill I have. And if I exhaust myself by helping the world, how can I be any good to my family? And so I had to really pull back. And I'd been working on this for over a year, just closed my laptop and said no. And I think sometimes when we're thinking about a launch in this business, right, we have this schedule, we have this outline, and all of those dates on that launch are self-imposed.
Exactly.
Nobody out there really cares that much. Like I switched my podcast launch by a week this month because I had to. I needed to for me, and nobody cared. Nobody's paying that close of attention. We put that on ourselves, wouldn't you say? So,
Yeah.
what about your journey and what you were doing and building kept you from identifying that so much sooner?
I was stuck in the performance
Yeah.
of it all. We we find ourselves performing to be the person that we believe everybody needs us to be in order to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
We build that person up in our own head of what we believe that everybody else needs to see. And then what we do is we show up in our businesses and sometimes in our lives and we perform as that person.
Mm-hmm.
At times we even forget that we're not that person.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think sometimes, when you have introductions, when I have introductions with someone, do you find in person, it's always this person who's talking to you now, who's on Instagram now. It doesn't mean that I'm completely that much different in my personal real life, but you do want to elevate the conversation. You want to elevate the experience to amount to the energy you have when you're talking to someone on your show and then you meet them later, those sorts of things.
Oh no, I can, and that's exactly how I felt. Is I think that somewhere along the way in all the performance of it all, I didn't realize that I was shaping myself and my business and my life around something that I no longer wanted, something that I didn't really feel like was authentically me and who I was. And all of that just built up and led to that moment where it all just came crumbling down, even though I had built up to this level of success.
Well, let's take a break. I want to hear what happened next when you decided to scoop yourself off the floor and start again. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, Kary, we've been talking about your huge successful launch, five-figure launch. That's the goal in this industry, at least that much, or gosh, not even at least that much. That's a big, big goal achieved. And you found yourself crumbled on the bathroom floor, just really
Exactly.
absolutely falling apart in burnout. What was your next move?
My next move was actually to just burn it all down. I completely stepped away from my business. I completely stepped away from social media for 2 years. In
Wow.
in that time, I became a
Let me
high
ask
school
real
teacher.
quick. So did that go evergreen after that? Was what you
It did
launched
not.
still available? You just sold what you sold, you gave access to those people and said bye-bye.
Exactly. That was
Mm.
exactly what I did. I pulled the plug completely on everything that I had been building.
And you had to really want that.
Yeah.
Were you
And I
afraid at all or you were afraid if you didn't?
I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was terrified. I absolutely terrified. I mean, at that point, I believe I had like 13,000 followers on that page, and I, had that amazing launch, and I thought that I had built everything I thought that I wanted to build. I tried so hard, worked so hard, and then I was just like giving up, right?
Mhm.
But I needed it. I needed to do it. I needed to stop, and I needed to reassess and understand who I was and what I wanted.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so you when during that time, I mean, you didn't say I'm taking a break for 2 years. You had no idea how long the break would be.
Mhm.
You just took the time. And what give us an example of what you did in that time to repair the damage that had been done, or was it just a slow return to yourself? And what was it, sometimes people think there's this big light bulb moment, which for you on your bathroom floor was probably a pretty big light bulb moment. But after that, real life sets back in and you got your daily routine and your family and your life. And so now what does that look like for you? Even just the
Well,
first day waking up after, because when you're doing a launch and building something, that's all you're thinking about first thing in the morning, getting your day going and making sure you're hitting that to-do list.
exactly. I actually at the time I didn't have my girls yet, but over those 2 years I did have my first daughter.
Wow.
I became
That's
a
good
high
work.
school.
That's good
I
time.
is. I became a high school teacher. I taught high school. I taught WordPress development at a local high school. I learned how to ride a motorcycle and got my motorcycle license. I took a lot of painting, did a lot of yoga.
Mhm.
I did a lot of things that honestly brought me joy, Lisa. Like things that I followed my passion for where I wanted to go, things that I wanted to do, things that put a smile on my face. I called it making magical moments.
Mhm.
I wanted to spend my time making magical moments.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was in all of that and realizing how much joy I was able to bring to my life by really following and being in alignment with what I really wanted for myself. That was how I decided that I wanted to restructure my business coming forward when I relaunched again after that.
So how long? So 2 years, you took the 2-year break. At what point during that 2 years did you start to rebuild something new?
At the very end of it.
Okay. So
At
now
the
you're,
very end of it.
so it
Yeah,
was after
my
the 2 years, then you decide. And so then that, you know what that takes. So
exactly.
what did you do differently, or what in your mind did you say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it differently so that I don't end up in the same place on the
Exactly.
bathroom floor again?
I remember my daughter was around 9 months old when I decided that I went to my husband. I said, "I'm ready. I'm ready to show back up, to put myself back out there, and I know that I want to specifically work with women entrepreneurs or those that identify as women entrepreneurs to." To create these magical moments in their own lives, to find joy, to put themselves out there in an authentic way, to be in alignment fully with their life and their business, and to find joy. I know that I want to do that. I want to go back out there. So my husband's like, are you sure? Like, after after
We got
Ford
a
did all
family
that,
here now. We got to keep it
I know.
together. Mhm.
Like, are you sure? And so what I did was I actually took me 6 weeks. So from the moment I decided I was going to do that, I took 6 weeks to plan everything out, to plan out what I was going to stand for, what I wanted to be known for, what I was going to talk about, what my complete content strategy was going to be around everything. My entire background, Lisa, is in marketing strategy,
Yeah.
is in brand strategy, is in sales psychology. That's my background.
Well, I
So
sent you a message and I was like, what you are doing here is absolute brilliance. And you said, well, in fairness, it's what I, went to school for. I'm like, that is still brilliant. And we don't always use what we went to school for, and we don't always apply what we did in school. So
mhm.
it's really, really good. I have no formal training in branding, and I've launched and brand my own things along the way. And I'm just watching you, and I'm trying not to have any FOMO whatsoever. And like, wait, rethinking my colors, rethinking my fonts. I'm like, no, 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 no.
Don't do it.
No, 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 no. But just really, really good stuff. I mean,
Thank you.
really good stuff. And in 6 weeks, I
And
mean,
in 6 weeks, so and that's not even the most fabulous thing. The most fabulous part of it was that after I decided to come back out there, I closed my 13,000 follower account and I started a completely brand new account, which is Social with Kary, which is the account I have now. I started a completely brand new account. This was around 4 years ago. And I had about 500 followers follow me from my old account to my new account. And in just 10 weeks of starting that account, I had grown 10,000 followers and I had launched a new coaching program where I launched and got $183,000 in 10 weeks.
wow.
In
That's
10,
like
in
that's
10 weeks.
and that wasn't obviously the goal. You were just ready to come back. And I
Um,
know that from and I hear this from a lot of people and I agree with it. If you really love what you're doing and what you're selling, it doesn't feel like selling. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like serving.
yeah,
It has to feel like serving, that you're serving the audience that you'll eventually sell to.
right.
Feel
And
more aligned then.
what I wanted was connection.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I wanted connection. And I know that that word community is thrown out there a lot. Like, oh,
Sure.
my community. It's like, don't call your followers your community, right?
Yeah.
They're just your followers. No, I wanted community. I actually wanted to show up in the space and I wanted to be around other like minded people that were just like me. And I wanted us to build each other up. So
Mhm.
every single time that I showed up in that space, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to build up other people that were trying just as hard to find that joy and those magical moments in their life, just like I was.
Yeah.
And And that turned into connection. That connection turned into community. And it turned into the space where people were not only following me, but they were a part of my journey. They were invested in my journey in a way that made them want to be even closer to me.
And they want to see themselves in that journey.
Exactly. They wanted to see themselves in their journey. That, I mean, just to have that type of resonance online, I think that is the true goal. That is the true goal.
Yeah. So, okay. So all of that said, as lovely as it sounds, you shut it down again
I did.
and you reemerged, and that's when I found you. So let's take a
Yes.
break. We're going to hear about the second reemergence from Kary and hear about that story too. We'll be back in just a moment. Kary, we're finishing up our conversation about your journey as a really, really successful brand. Launching is your thing. You've made 5-figure launches and then a 6-figure launch. Both times you decided to shut it down. When you shut down after the $183,000 launch, how long did you stick around after the launch, and why did you shut it down yet again?
So I stuck around for 3 years.
Launching meaning launching your course, your brand, all of your offers, all the things. Yeah.
I stuck around for 3 years, and over the course of the 3 years, I built a near $1 million business. And over that course, I also had a second daughter. So at this point, I have 2 daughters, 2 beautiful daughters. But yes, I decided to shut it down all again just at around September 2025. No, September 2024. September 2024, I decided to shut it down all again after 3 years of building that brand. And the big reason there was that I didn't burn out. So spoiler alert, I didn't burn out, but I knew what it felt like to burn out. And I knew where I was headed.
Okay.
I
You
knew
saw it
that
coming.
I saw it coming this time. I saw it coming. And I knew that I was out of alignment, that I could see myself starting to perform again. I could see myself focusing too much on the metrics and on the milestones and on the successes and on the launches. And I could see myself focusing too much on these things and getting further and further and further away from myself and who I truly was. And I knew that I did not want that. See, when I first launched Social with Kary, when I came back the first time, I came back after just being a mom for nine months. I really didn't even fully know who I was at that time. And I launched the business. And over those 3 years, that business grew and grew and grew as I figured out who I was as a mom, as I figured out who I was as this new person. And I didn't really fully know who that person was. I had lost so many parts of my identity, and I had no time to figure out who I was anymore over the course of 3 years of building the family and building the business. And I came to a point of reaching that level of success, that epicenter that we try so hard, what everybody sees is like, she made it. I want to be just like her, where I'm so far away from where I wanted to be as a person, as a friend, as a mother. So what I decided was, I was like, you know what? I know where this is headed. I've been on this road before. And what I will not do is allow myself to burn out. What I will not do is allow myself to find myself on the bathroom floor again, because I can't do that at this point. I have 2 little ones that are sticking around and waiting for me to show up for them and to show up for myself.
Well, one of the things that I noticed in your story, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. One of the things I noticed in your storytelling is you're giving the numbers, the 5-figure, the $183,000 launch. And I think that those numbers are important. I think how we use those numbers is important, because sometimes it's used to sell, and I get that. And that is a strategy for sure. And then other times I hope it's also used to inform and educate and help people see that all of that is great. But if you aren't taking care of yourself and your family and your, physical and mental well-being, then no amount of money is going to matter.
Exactly.
So to you, it looks like, oh my goodness, yes, she made it. Let's hire her so that I can make it too. And then you have this extra bit of knowledge from having done it. Now there's burnout from people trying to do it and not yet achieving it. It's a lot of work to do what you've done multiple times now. And so what do you think at this point, with just a couple minutes left, what does it feel like this time in what you're doing, and what are you doing?
Yes. What What I'm doing is I am trying to build my version of unbound success.
Mhm.
I do not want to be bound by the definitions of success of anyone else, of any external factor. I want to define my own definition of the success. I want
Mhm.
it to look like the time that I'm spending with my family. I want it to look like the time that I'm spending with my friends, the values that I have, sharing my voice. I don't want it to be about how many coaching calls I have on my calendar or
Yeah.
how big that last launch was or any of those metrics in
Yeah.
between.
Mhm.
I want it to mean I want it to be the joy that I'm bringing back to my life and the joy that I'm bringing to the lives of those around me. And I want that to be the definition of success for me now and moving forward. And what I've done in this last 10 months that I took off from this business was build my business in a way that helped me support my life, not building my life in a way that supported my business.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's the thing that I didn't see your content before. I see it now. And to me, I just had a podcast interview with someone who was at a mastermind, long story short, and everyone was naming all these big numbers. And he'd said, no, I just want to make back then 75 to 100,000 a year, but I'm going to work 3 days. I'm going to pick up my kids every day from school and I'm going to take them and I'm going to coach and all the things. And everyone else was like, oh, that sounds better than the $1 million, $5 million, $100 million, whatever goals there were going on mastermind. And for me, it's the same. I'll take time over money anytime. And I've made those sacrifices for many years raising my son to make sure that we were comfortable, but that I was home at 3 o'clock every day. And I wouldn't change a single thing about any of that. Now, am I in my hustle season? Maybe. But I know what it means to be here and the life that we built together. And that's what I want to also share with other people is that exactly what you're saying is yes, there's success, but don't forget all the people that you're trying to be an example toward your kids and the people you're trying to share your life with your family. And it's all that's what it's all about, hopefully. And not for everyone, and that's okay. But if you've learned enough in your own personal experience to build your business that way, I think it reduces all the things that you went through before. They won't have to go through again. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I am following along and I'm not changing my logos or my colors or my fonts. I'm just going to enjoy seeing yours.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Take care.
You as well.